Okay, so this is the test that I failed yesterday. Arthur, you wanted more videos? Here's more videos. So this is a basic ground handling test. I have 15 minutes to start the aircraft, and I can only just turn the key and crank the bitch over. There's a whole kind of a 10-step, 40-step, 50-step process. So in any event, let's go ahead and close the windows. Probably should do that. Of course, that only works when the battery's on. So come over here and put our battery on, inverter on, close the canopy, and then we're going to start up our APU because that's handy. APU is kind of like a little itty bitty bitch jet engine in the back of the airplane that its sole purpose in life is to power the non-bitch jet engines on the airplane that make it fly. And its other sole purpose in life is to make a big black stain underneath the number one engine on the port side there when it runs. It looks rather messy. So while it's cranking up, we'll go down and take a look. It's at 100%. We'll turn on the DC generator on the APU, and then the left and right generators for number 1 and 2 engines. And so now we're technically ready to start the jet engines. However, checklist says we shouldn't. It says we should instead start turning on electronics and testing things. So we're going to test our warning lights. All the idiot lights work. We're going to test the bleed air. Probably can't do that yet until the engines are running. We'll take a look at our fuel. Make sure it's reading correctly. 3000 is nominal. We're reading good. We're going to turn on our oxygen so we can breathe. And we're going to test the oxygen low warning light so that if we run out, we don't die. The warning light appears to work, and around the dial goes. We're going to turn on our radios. We have 3 radios in the A-10C. All of them receive in stereo. We're going to set that to transmit. I'm going to set it to my local ATC frequency manual. AM radios are not used for talk radio in the A-10C. They're used to talk between aircraft to aircraft. The other VHF is used for FM, which is used for talking to people on the ground who often have things for you to shoot at. Come over here now. We're going to check our lights panel. I don't need any lights because it's light outside. We're going to power up our ILS. We're going to set our CDU and EGI panel on here and set steer points to flight plan because ostensibly I've got one. We're going to go over to the countermeasures panel, set it on standby, which is right there, because I'm not actually intending to jam anybody out here on the airfield today. We're going to turn on my MFCDs and stand by for power to those. Getting a little closer here, we're going to turn on our SICU, which is a computer. It's not a very nice computer by today's standards. We're going to turn on JTARS radio, and we're going to turn on my least favorite of them all. We're going to turn on the IFC. Put that in test mode. Engage pre-flight bit. Yes. We're going to make sure everything looks good over here on takeoff. Trim has not been pushed. None of those switches are on. Apparently that upsets the computer quite a bit. Engage SAS switches according to the pre-flight bit. So that means go ahead and flip all these. These help stabilize the aircraft. Now we'll set takeoff trim. Now IFC has gotten right with Jesus. We're going to come over here. We're going to load all data.
Pull up.
That would be the computer running through its
Altitude.
pre-flight test, getting right with Jesus again. There's nothing to load. There are no weapons on the stores. That all looks good. It's still thinking. Pre-flight test complete. No failures found. Enter. And Enter again. We take FC into on position. And that means we see shit on the HUD now. Congratulations. And looks like loading is complete. Check our Dismas matches what's actually on the aircraft, which would be nothing. And see our jammers off. We're going to uncage and calibrate our standby attitude indicator. This is in case that one breaks, which is pretty unlikely to happen. Take a look at our CDU. This is an Atari 2600 basically with keyboard input, and it navigates your aircraft, which is really not confidence inspiring. It takes about 5 minutes to align itself with the world. So go ahead and turn the rest of our electronics on, make sure we pass this test. So basically until this line blinks, we can't load in this data, and if you move the aircraft while it's booting, it goes all fucky. So while we're doing that, we're going to go ahead and turn on the boost pumps and start the engines. We're going to start, there we go, and start 1. And we hear the flaps coming down because hydraulic pressure is coming into the system. As you can see on the number 1 hydraulic gauge, it looks good. Flaps came back up. And we're going to check over here on engine panel. Number 1 is starting to rotate very slowly. Soon enough, you'll hear a master caution light. That's normal, so I'm told. And after you hear that, that means that it's okay. There we go. Alright. That's apparently a good thing. That means it's okay to start number 2. Apparently in the A-10, when you start your engine, there's not a start button key or anything like that. You just move the throttle forward. That's, I suppose that's designed to be idiot-proof. I'm guessing.
Don't skip any checklist items, Cadet. The bird has to be fully mission operational to pass this performance check.
Ah, yes, of course. Thanks for the reminder. So, we're gonna listen to that thing. Okay, I'm gonna set takeoff trim one more time because dipshit over there in the Humvee failed me yesterday morning. Said I didn't set takeoff trim, even though I did. In any event, both engines appear to be spinning reasonably quickly. Looks like they're at pretty normal core temperature. There went number 2, and nav is ready to load. So go ahead and load that. Check the TAD. Aha, navigation's all right with the Lord. Go ahead and turn our TGP on. We have no TGP. We have no laser to arm. Our weapons are all in safe. ECM is on. Countermeasures are on standby. Weapons are running. Oxygen's on. Lights are off. We'll do a bleed air test. That alarm works, good for it. Set our navigation to EGI because the inertial navigation system totally sucks. And then we'll turn the APU generator off because we don't need it anymore. And then we'll turn the APU off because we don't need it anymore, because the engines are running. Now let's do one more look around. Flaps are up. Let's go ahead and cycle them just to make sure they work. Good for them, they work. And then we'll cycle the flight control surfaces. Those work. We will deploy the speed brakes. Make sure those work. Those guys will shoot me if I fuck up my takeoff checklist or if I get out of the airplane. So that works. Now when you perform an actual pre-flight on an A-10, there's a dude, it's called a crew chief, stands behind you and tells you if your elevators and your rudders work, because you can't see him. And that pretty much concludes my pre-flight. I think. I don't think I missed anything, but I'm going to hit takeoff trim again because dipshit bitched me about that. I'm going to double check. Oh yeah, probably should turn on my autopilot. There we go. Radar altimeter. Those are handy, although not required on a pre-flight checklist. And test my anti-G suit that I'm not actually wearing. Radios are all on, set and transmit. Talking to the right frequency, ILS powered on. And we'll go ahead and arm the ejection seat. And turn on anti-skid. And put our landing lights to taxi. And wait for Mr. Man and the Humvee to give us an evaluation. Everything looks like it's on. The Atari's functioning, I think. Engines are spinning. Parking brakes on. And it looks like we're on EGI navigation, that's good. Steer point is set. Laser is off. Wouldn't want to be blinding the man in the Humvee, that would suck. Which we can't do because we actually don't have one on the aircraft at the moment. Just gonna wait patiently, stare at the Humvee expectantly. While I'm doing that, I think I'll set my altitude alert to 10 feet. There we go. Pitching Betty won't complain until I come below 10 feet. That's how I like it. 500 feet. I mean, come on, guys. Seriously. 500. I don't think there's anything else we can really test while we're waiting for Mr. Man to make up his mind. Seat's been adjusted, control surfaces have been checked. Nothing to jettison. Fire switch is in the center position. Boarding ladder has been stowed. It's about as exciting as this gets. Waiting for an invisible virtual man in a Humvee to tell you that your life is worth living, more or less. That's basic flight school. It's very exciting. I suppose I could reset my accelerometer, but yeah, that's. I don't know if anybody actually looks at that when they fly the aircraft. They just use their butt to decide whether they're pulling too many G's or too few. Got 3 minutes left here. The man makes up his mind. I don't think we missed anything. Probably did though. Well, I noticed in this test you can miss something, maybe not necessarily miss it. Like takeoff trim. You could do that. You could do everything on the checklist that you gotta do. But if you did it in just the wrong order, well, Mr. Man will lose his shit. And you will fail the test. Even though nothing went wrong. I'm trying to think of anything else I might have missed. Don't pull that. That's bad. It's very expensive to reset an ejection seat, I'm told. I suppose I could technically turn my TACAN beacon receiver to transmit receive. I don't know my airfield's TACAN frequency. I probably should. I also don't know my airfield's ILS frequency off the top of my head, but again, I probably should. I suppose I could take a look while I'm waiting. Yeah, that's not been loaded, apparently. Track IR just barfed. And
30 seconds, cadet.
yeah, 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Divert. And this is where I am. Let's see. Oh, there it is. My TACAN's 16, ILS is 11030.
Let me confirm your startup procedure. You missed a checklist item, cadet. You failed to test the pitot heat switch.
Motherfucker.